Hi everyone, thanks for joining in on my very first video tutorial. I've been asked to recreate this look that I did whilst taking part in a makeup course that I'm doing with Jeanette Cronin, mainly for myself more than to do it as a profession, but you know, who knows what the future holds with everything the way the world is going at the moment. So hopefully we can all join in and let me know what you think. I have started already, I've already prepped my skin, and by prepping I mean I've already moisturised and put my serums and everything on. What I do use, however, is the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow PHA and BHA Pore Tight Toner. I really do like this. Thanks to Michaela Noguera, who reviewed it, gave it a glowing review, pardon the pun, and of course what Michaela says you have to buy. So we got this. And also Glow Recipes Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Dewdrops. Now this is lovely, it really does make your skin feel soft and very nice afterwards. And then we follow that on with the Innisfree Dewy Glow Jelly Cream with Jeju Cherry Blossom, and this is a clear jelly, but again it really does make your skin feel hydrated, which when you're applying makeup a lot, skincare is the best care. If you think of it just like an artist, if you have a good canvas to build upon, then the artwork of which is placed upon it is hopefully flawless. So that's the one thing that I can say is, you know, a good blank canvas to begin with. Now I haven't got any foundation or anything on. I tend to do my eyes before I do my foundation, mainly because if I'm using a pigment or a glitter or a pressed pigment, something like that, you might get a bit of fallout which can ruin your foundation if you haven't put enough powder under your eyes. And also if you are doing eyebrows and things, you're going to be touching your face quite a bit, so I tend to find doing my foundation after is better for me, but you do you, and you do what you feel is best. So we're going to start with carving our brows. I've already put pencil in my brows, and I've used the Bperfect Indestructi'brow in charcoal. I found this pencil really good. It's nice and thin, you get a little spoolie on the other end, and I found this really easy to use, and at the age of 52, just managing to get my brows done is quite an achievement, I think. So first off, we're going to carve out our brows. So I need to take off my glasses. I'm now blind as a bat. And how we do this is we can either use a Plouise base, which is my usual go-to. This is shade Rumour 02. This really does give a good base down on our eyes as well, for any eyeshadow application that we're going to be putting on top of it. It helps, certainly bright colours and pigments really pop. But today I'm going to use the shade in 2.5. I just want something a bit more flesh coloured. You can, however, use a concealer. Most people do. A couple of the concealers that I like, when I get the right one, is the Revolution Conceal and Define. This is shade C5. Or the other one I like is the Helen E Stage Shadow Primer. This is really good as well. This is from Helen E Cosmetics. I really like that. And also we need a good brush. So you want a brush that has, let me put my glasses back on, is nice and thin. I like this one. This is from Peaches and Cream. This is the PC53 brush. And it's nice and thin. I use this for cutting the crease as well because it's got that nice angle at the top. You can also use an eyebrow brush. This is from Nema Brushes in collaboration with Jeanette Cronin, and I have to say this is one of the thinnest eyebrow brushes I've ever come across. It's amazing for doing those individual hairs. Another brush that you can use is just a very thin, maybe round tipped brush. Plouise has some amazing brushes, and the one I tend to use if I'm using the Plouise brush, when I can find it, is something like this. This is the 7072 brush. It's nice and round for getting in up here in that crease. Sorry, in the brow. So that's another one. It's not as thin, but if you dampen it down and you really sort of pinch it, it becomes nice and thin. Or you've also got the PIXI 54 from Peaches and Cream. This is another good one for cutting your brows. Again, it's nice and thin. Especially if you're like me with a smaller eye, it's not as wide, and you get a bit more precision and a bit more control. So that's the different brushes that you may or may not want to use. So glasses off again, and we'll just get a little bit of our product. So this is the Plouise base in shade 2.5. And I'm literally going to just put a tiny bit on the back of my hand, or if you want to use, you can use a hand palette or any other palette that you like. And I'm just going to dip my brush in it, just the edge, because I don't want it coated, and just make that nice and thin. Oops, sun's come out. And we're going to go to our eyebrows, and we're just going to start along the bottom and stamping that in. Don't know if you can see that with the sun coming in. And you just go along very gently. Don't know if you can see that. So where we've cut it across here. It's been raining all day, it's typical, isn't it? And then you just bring it down gently. And take it all the way. I've just realised I just blocked all that, sorry guys. I take it all the way out to here. And pat it in. And this gives us a nice crisp edge to our eyebrow. And the thing with the Plouise base, or even your concealer, is that it stays nice and tacky, so that when you apply your shadows of choice, it grabs hold of it and really does help to make it pop. I'm just going to add a little bit extra just along the bottom of the eye here. And make sure that you're patting it all in nicely. And you blend it all the way out, so that it blends into the skin. Ready for our foundation. So going over to the other eye now. So So again, underneath, you can stamp or you can do what I'm doing here, and that is taking the brush very thinly across, as you can see here. And then curve down. And the other thing about the Plouise base I really like is it's not overly thick, but it's thick enough that if you have any stray hairs, if you know you're due to do your brows or whatever, it actually covers them really well. I've got one or two here that will need to be sorted out at some point. So again, we're just bringing it down onto the eyelid, and we're just going to pat that all in. And bring it all the way through. Ta-da! As you can see, both eyelids are now prepped and my brows have been carved nice and sharp and nice and tidy. I'm just patting that all in now, just to make sure that it's all nicely covered and it's not too wet. I mean, it stays tacky until we set it with powder or shadow, but we don't want it overly wet. So I'm just getting rid of those creases, and we do want to take it all the way down here. And then once we've done that, we'll just get a nice fluffy brush, just a clean fluffy brush, and we're just going to buff out these edges. We don't want any harsh lines. We're just going to buff out the edges. Just to make it nice and blended into our skin. There we go. You do want to work quite quickly if you're using a Plouise base, because it can start to dry very quickly. So now that we've got our eye base done and our eyebrows carved, we're going to go in now with a bit of bronzer and just start to put some definition into our eye sockets. So for this, you want to take a small fluffy brush. Again, you don't want anything too big. You know, take it in relation to the shape of your eye. I'm going to use a Morphe M506. Basically because I want to make sure that I get it into the socket, but I don't want to go all the way up here, and I don't want to come down onto the lid just yet. So I'm going to take some bronzer, and the idea of the bronzer is, as I say, is just to give it a little bit of definition in there in the socket. And you want to use the tip of your brush, so you want to take your product and you swirl, and then you tap off the excess. You don't want a lot of product, because otherwise it's going to start to fall out, or you're going to get it patchy, or it's not going to sit right. So you dip, you swirl, tap off the excess, and we just go in on the one area and we just deposit the product here, and then we go again, we dip, tap, deposit the product, dip, tap, just little by little. We're not blending yet, we're just getting the product down. I apologise for anybody that gets triggered with the tapping. I also just want to say as well that all the products that I'm using are my own personal products used on myself. I'm not a professional makeup artist, so they're not being used on anybody else. So I can apply straight from the bottle to my face if I wish. So we're just putting a light covering, just small circular motions. You don't want to go too big because we don't want to go up here and we don't want to come down here. We want to keep it within the socket, and if you just do it, you can actually feel you're going round the eyeball. Just hugging that eyeball. Excuse my dog in the background. Okay. And once you're happy with what you've got down, you take your brush without any extra product, just with what's on the brush, and we go half on, what we call half on and half off. So you sort of go half where you've placed your bronzer and half where there is no makeup, and we literally just very lightly just tickle around the edge just to take out any harsh edges. Sun's come out again. So again, over on the other eye, just make sure that you don't have any creasing. So just take your brush and just pat out any creases, because if you set powder onto creasing, they will stay. So again, dipping, we're not going in hard, we're just taking the tip of our brush, tap off, and going around that socket. Small circular motions. We're just depositing product at this stage, we're not blending, just getting our definition. It's always a good idea just to have a mirror to the front of you as well as your handheld mirror, maybe one to the side, and just stop and look ahead and just make sure that everything is where you want it to be and it's even and balanced. And again, when you've got no product left, just take the point of the brush And again, we're going half on, half off across that edge just to take away any harsh edges. So very gently, just tickling the edge, just to blend that harsh edge out. And the idea is as we are placing our shadows, is we want to be able to see the layers. We don't want harsh lines. And if you are, or if you have hooded eyes like myself, the idea is that we want to give an impression that our eyes are wide and open. So by taking, placing our shadow going up in the diagonal, so going sort of this way, ensures that our darker colours stay here with our lighter colours in the middle, in the front corner, to give that illusion of being lifted. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm happy with the depth of colour to begin with, and everything is the same. And then, as before, you just go around the edge, half on, half off, and just take away that harsh edge very, very lightly. Same with the other side. So now that we've got our base shade down and we're happy with that, we're going to move on now to deepen that crease. So the palette we're going to use is the Bperfect Clientele palette by Jar, and the colours we're going to use today are Dirty Tan and Too Much. So this is the one that's going to go on the outer corner, and this one is going to help deepen the shade that we've already got down. And what we're going to use to do that with is we've got a slightly, oh gosh, everything's falling over, a slightly more rounded brush to apply this. So this is the one that I used to lay down the, she says if she can find it, the bronzer, and I'm going to use this one, which is a Peaches and Cream PC47. It's probably not as round, sorry, no, I'm going to use this one. I'm going to use a Plouise number 198. It's slightly more rounded, which is going to help get into those sockets of glasses off. So I'm going to dip in, as we said, to Dirty Tan. We want to again take our brush into our product like so. We don't want it on the side, we just want it on the tip, and because we've opted for a round brush, to make sure that we get it in the correct place. So again, dip, tap off the excess, and all we're doing at the moment again is applying the product. Now we're not going up here, what we want to do is go underneath where we've already put our bronzer. So we're just going to tap that, just laying the product down. Again, you're just hugging, just a little wiggle, just hugging the socket, and you're going to come round. Just really want that depth. If you don't have this palette, don't panic. You just need some neutral colours, some different maybe shades of brown. But again, the techniques that we're using can be applied to any colour you like. So it's just really putting down your lighter colour first, then going darker, darker and darker. So just bear that in mind when you're choosing colours, and also that it wants to complement your outfit. So once we've got that darker colour down, again, I like to wipe off my brush with any excess product, and then just take the brush, and like we did before, half and half, half on the dark, half on the light, very, very lightly tickling the skin, and just taking away any harsh lines. You're not going round and round and round, and you're not digging in, because what we don't want to do is obviously distribute the product up into your lighter shade. You want to make sure that we can see each of the shades, and it just wants to fade in. And you don't want to overblend, because you will wipe it all away. And the idea is when we have our eyes open, that you can actually see that darker product just above our eye going into the lighter product on top. And if you want to, you can just take it out to the side here and feather it up, just to give our eye up towards the eye tail of our eyebrows, but not going over the lighter colour. Just tickling it up there. Then again, just take our, you'll find that as you do this, it's what we call the sandwich stages. You keep going backwards and forwards into each of the colours to help keep the definition. So again, we're going to go back into our bronzer with our other brush, dip, just very lightly tap, and just go over the edge, just to help buff that out. So as you can see, we've still got the light colour and the colour that we've just put on, and there's no harsh edge. So we'll go back into Dirty Tan. We'll do our other eye now. So again, in, tap, place the product down, and it should always be a matte shade in the socket. You shouldn't put anything sparkly really in the socket. They go on the lids. But you know, at the end of the day, if you want to put a sparkly shade in your socket, then you go ahead and do that. There are no rules really. If it's what you want to do, you go ahead and do it. And again, I'm just taking that out towards the end of my eyebrow. And again, looking straight ahead, making sure that the colour is equal on both eyes, and it isn't. Need to go a little bit here on this eye. There we go, and then back in with our bronzer, just to soften up those edges. When I'm doing my blends, so not to make sure that they don't get all muddied up into each other, especially if I'm going on from one product to another, mainly so if I'm going from a dark to a light. So for now I'm putting on a lighter bronzer than the dark tan. So when I go into my bronzer, after I've tapped it off and applied it on my eye, I will then take my towel, which is always underneath me, or a piece of kitchen towel, and I will wipe my brush. Then I'll go back into my product, because if I don't, I've got running the risk of it just becoming all muddied up, and the dark will then go into the light, and then we won't end up with these various shades of colour. So I'm just making sure that everything is as I want it. Okay, go back in with the bronzer, tap, just tickle it off around the edges. Hoping you can all see this and I'm not covering up. As I say, it's my first tutorial, so forgive me. Just going around the edge, wipe, dip, tap. 50-50, half on, half off. Just to take out any harsh lines. I'm not sure if one eye is darker than the other or if just mine are. I think it's the lighting. And as you can see, it's starting to come up the way. If you do find that you've come down a little bit too far, just take your concealer brush. You don't want any more product on it, so I'm just making sure it's quite dry. And just wipe it away. And on the other side. There we go. You're always checking. Always checking. And that's our second colour down. So now we're going to go in and put down our next colour. And this time we're going to be using a smaller, more square brush. It's what we more or less, I suppose, call a packing brush. It's still quite fluffy, but it's more dense, and the bristles aren't as long or as wide as, say, these. And I've got another one somewhere, but I don't know where I've put it, so these will do. So I'm going to be using this one. I think it's relative to the size of my eye, because we're going to be using this for the corners. And if I use too big a brush, then I'm going to get too much, and I don't want to do that. So we're now going to go into our next product, which is this one, darker brown, called Too Much. And this time we're going to be going in on the sides of our brush. So just give a little wiggle. Again, tap off the excess. So we've gone in on the side, and what we're going to do here is, bearing in mind we want to be taking everything up this way to give the illusion of an open eye. So we're going to be taking the product on the side of our brush, and we're just going to stamp it here, literally like that. We're not going to be blending or anything. So again, product, tap off, and stamp just up towards the socket here. We're not going all the way up here, we're just deepening this part here. So again, back in, tap off, and wiggle. See? And I'm taking it in just at a diagonal because that's the illusion I want to have. I want it all to come up this way. Okay, so again I'm going to wipe off the excess. Once I'm happy with the intensity, wipe off the excess and then just take the same brush again, and as we did before, go very softly around the edge just to take away any harsh edges. Any difference? Now I've got a lot of wrinkles on my eye, so you can see I've missed a piece here, so I'm just going to go back in and just pat that in. There we go. Curly eyelash. Just making sure that that's all. No, and you can see it's starting to take it up this way. And again, I'm going to go back into Dirty Tan again, the previous colour. It's called Stages. And we're just tickling the edge, again, half on the dark and half on the light, just to take away the harshness. Now, this is what I was saying before. I'm going to now wipe off my brush before I go back in again, because what I don't want is to make the lighter colour the darker colour as well, because it's just going to make a right mess. So again, back into Dirty Tan, tap off the excess and just tickling half on, half off. Then again with our bronzer, tap off and just take it round, because each time we add in a product and we blend, we will lose some of the previous colour. So you have to make sure that you've got the blends. See, like here now, I've lost a little bit of the definition of the darker colour, so I'm going back into Too Much, tap off, and I will just re-intensify and pat that in. There we go. So same on the other eye, dip into our colour on the side of the brush, give it a little wiggle, tap off and place the product. Again, going up in this way, this diagonal, so we pat. And there's the dog shouting. So I have come down a little bit far here, but we'll correct that in a moment. So again, I'm taking off any excess. I'm just going back in and just tickle across to take away any harsh edges. And again, I'm going to take the dirty tan and just go back around the edge. Wipe off. And then going back in with the bronzer. And as I say, just want to wipe away that edge. There we go. And I've just now made that nice and sharp, so again, need to go in with the dirty tan. Just around the edge, half on, half off. Just to soften that out. So again, just looking straight ahead to make sure that you're happy with how everything is working out. And you can now see how everything's coming out this way. Just addressing that there. I've just got a bit of a harsh line here that I'm just going to work out to get rid of. It's not perfect, but unfortunately again, because I've lost some of the depth of colour, I'm just going in to bring that back. It's a bit better, I think. So as you can see, everything now is coming up towards. So now that we've got our final colour down, we are ready to put whatever we want on our lids, whether it be some glitter, some shimmer, some other matte colour. The choice is absolutely yours. I like a little bit of shimmer. So what I'm going to do first though is just take our concealer brush, just with the product that's already on it. Our lid should still be tacky because we don't have any eyeshadow on there, and I'm just going to take what's on the brush and just pat to revive the base that's on there, and just to get rid of any creasing, because again you don't want it to sit in the creasing. I'm just going to make sure that blends all out here, and then I'm keeping my eyes stretched so that those creases don't come back. I'm going to take another small fluffy brush like we had before, so this one. This is a different one. This is a Jessop's 226, I think. So just making sure there's no creasing, but it's nice and tacky. And then I'm going to choose this shade here. It's called Luxe. It's a nice goldy light shimmer. So I'm going to just, again, on the side of my brush, just take the product, tap off the excess, and I'm just going to press it in to my eye. You see? Again, more product, tap off any excess, and press. And I'm just bringing it up to meet the other colours. And just tapping that all in. See how nice and shimmery that is? And it also helps to make the eye look a bit bigger. So although I've got quite hooded eyes, with how it is and how it's applied, it makes it look totally different. So again, back into the other eye, making sure we don't have any creases. Then with our small brush again, back into Luxe, tap off the excess and press onto the eye, following my eyeball. Wipe off, back into Luxe, tap off the excess and back in. There, I'm happy with that. Now what we need to do is just take our dirty tan again, tap off the excess, and what we're going to do is just take it across here just to help blend this in, just to get rid of that dark harsh line. See? And the same on the other side. There, so that's blended in now. Just going to take our darker brush, just a tiny little bit on the side, and just to bring that in, re-intensify that colour. Being careful not to bring in a harsh line. It's, as I said, it's about going through the colours, through the stages, re-intensifying everything. You really do need to sort of pay attention to your eye shape as well, to make sure you're getting the blend and the look that you want. I'm just going along the outer edge, just to make sure with our bronzer that everything is so. As you can see now is how everything is pointing up this way, which is what we wanted. Come a little bit further over on this side than this one, I think. It's a bit better. See, what we've got to do is anything that's up here needs to also come in here. So this is why you take the dirty tan in here as well, because you've got your dark and then you've got your dirty tan, then you have your bronzer. So you need to have your dark, your dirty tan, and the same in here as well. So constantly going back into the colours, just to re-intensify everything. There we go. Just checking through all the angles to make sure that I'm happy, so that when my eyes open you can see all my colours and you can actually see how it affects my eye shape. I'm just going to take a bit of bronzer and just tickle along that outside edge there, So now that we've got that laid down, what we're going to do now is go through with a little dark brown pencil just along the lash line there. So this one is a PIXI by Petra Endless Silk eye pen. It's really creamy, and this is in shade Black Caviar. So as I said, we're just going to take it along the line of our darkest colour here. So we're not making a wing liner or anything like that, we're just intensifying the lash line. So very lightly, just down towards where it starts to get lighter. It really is lovely and creamy. And again, you want to work quickly because we're going to be smudging this out, just to give it a little bit of a smoke. So I'm going to get a small pencil brush, a small blush. So I'm going to be using this one. Just a small thin brush. I'm going to take just the edge, and I'm going to just lightly rub over to smudge this out. And then I'm going to take the darkest colour back again, which was too much, on our short fluffy brush because it's tacky. Just a tiny bit in on the edge and just stamp that on. So that it doesn't transfer. Okay, so the other eye, same again. Just going to take it along the edge of the lash line up to the lightest colour. We're not making a wing or anything like that. Lovely and creamy, this pen. Then taking our pencil brush again and just smudging that out. Then we take our too much again on our little brush and just go over the top of that pencil, just dry. There we go. Now you can just leave it like this before we put on any lashes, or if you want to go under the lower lash line, we basically just create the same again. So I'm going to go under with a bit of, just a tiny bit of the too much, just under the bottom lash line here, taking it very gently, very lightly. I don't want a thick harsh line. I'm just taking that just to give a bit of definition to the bottom lash line. Just to connect the dots. Okay. You don't have to, this is a step you can skip if you don't want to. I just like to put a little bit just underneath my lash line. Okay, now we've got that done, I'm just going to buff that out with a little bit of dirty tan. So on our previous brush, I'm just taking the edge half on, half off, and just very lightly across the bottom. Same on the other side. I'm barely touching the skin at all. There we go. So now we can get on to putting on our lashes. And I'm going to use, I really like these. These are the Eye Candy. And I need my glasses. I'm also going to use the Duo strip lash adhesive. I actually find this, I really do like this one. And I'm going to get my tweezers. And another way that Jeanette showed us how to do our lashes I found was really good. And that is, you apply your lash glue to your lashes, then you offer them up to your eye, and you place them where you want to place them, then you take them off. Let it go tacky, and then when you put them back on, they stick really, really well. These are already trimmed because I've actually worn these before, but whenever you're taking lashes out, always go from the outside in. Okay, just put these to one side, and then get your lash and bend it, make a little seesaw. This just helps to flex for it to actually stay better onto the eye. And if they're not already trimmed, just take your lash, offer it up to your eye, see how, if it fits or not, and if it's too big, you just take some off the end. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to apply some lash glue. You can either apply them with tweezers or this little tool. So I'm going to take my lash glue onto my eyelash tweezers and just apply some lash across the band. Paying particular attention to the inner corner and the outer corner because they're the bits that always lift. So, and then whilst it's still wet, yes I know, you want to look down into your mirror and hold your lash up high, and then go to where your lashes actually come out of your eyelid. So you offer it up and make sure that it fits. I like to put it just up on the outer corner to give that elongated look. So as I say, just where your lashes come out, and then take it off. You're actually leaving some lash glue behind. And put that one to one side, so let it dry whilst we do the other one. And the idea behind that madness is that by the time the glue on your eyelid and the glue on the eyelash becomes tacky, it sticks really well. Excuse my dog barking outside. It's nearly dinner time, I think. So again, taking your lash, looking down into your mirror, placing your lash where your lashes come out of. Okay. Then I take my other tweezers and just check it's where I want it to be, then take it off. And now our other one should be dry or tacky enough to place. So we take back our original one. Okay. And same thing again, looking down into our mirror and placing our lashes where we want them to be. And they've already stuck. So there you go. So I actually like to take mine just up there on the outer corner, and you just go through, just take the glue off there and squeeze them together. And I haven't put any mascara on yet because I tend to find that I end up in a right mess, so I always do that at the end. So there we go. Let's go back to our other one. Again, looking down to the root of the lash and place. Again, just squeezing them together after you take off the lash glue on your tool. And there you go. Thanks to Jeanette. That's the easiest application of lashes I've ever known, and it is my go-to now. So now we're going to go on to our application of our foundations and our bronzers, etc, etc. So I like to use the Urban Decay Optical Illusion. This is a complexion primer, and it's really good if you've got, like, you know, large pores, which unfortunately seem to be the norm for me as I'm getting older. So it's a smoothing primer with rosehip and argan oil with pore perfecting. So I'm just going to take a little bit on my finger. You don't need very much. I'm just going to place this down the centre and around my nose, where I tend to have larger pores, just to help smooth that out. And I'm just pressing it in. Pressing it in. Making sure that's all. And it just gives a lovely smoothing finish. Okay. Next I'm going to go in with my foundation. The Hollywood Flawless filter from Charlotte Tilbury. This just because I can be quite pale, but my freckles, it just helps to warm up the rest of the face. I'm just going to take little bits and just dot it around. As I say, these are my own personal products, they don't get used on anybody else. And what this does is just gives us a little bit of a warming glow. And I'm going to take a concealer brush and just work this into the skin. Just pressing that in. It just gives a lovely glow to the skin underneath your foundation. So I didn't apply very much there at all. It's just you can actually wear this on its own. You would just put a little bit extra on. There we go. Right, now we've got that down, what I do also like to do is place a little bit of liquid face illuminator. Give this a shake. I use the Revlon Photo Ready. I find this really quite cute, quite nice. And I literally use the tiniest amount. And I just go across my cheekbones. Down the side, front of my nose, and just where the light may naturally hit my skin. And this is going to be covered over with the foundation, but it just allows a bit of a glow to come through. So just pat that in. Obviously I'm watching where it goes because I don't want to be highlighting any of my wrinkles. And I'm avoiding the under eye area as well. And so it just gives a nice little sheen. Okay, now the exciting bit. We call it an exciting bit. And that is our foundation. Now I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless, and this is in shade 5 Cool. I was actually colour matched by then, so all is good. And I like to use a blusher brush actually to apply for my foundation. So let me just find that. Nope. No, that's not you either. The one next to you. So I like to use an angled fluffy brush. I just find it actually helps the application better. And for this, again, a little goes a long way with this foundation, and I mean a little goes a long way. It's a full coverage, which isn't something that I normally like, but it tends to work better for my skin. But I do apply it quite thinly, so I literally put half a pump down and then just take it on my brush and I just work it from the cheeks out. And I'm patting this in. I'm patting it because I want to work it into my skin. And you go from the inside out so that it feathers as you come out towards the hairline. Don't forget the jaw. Don't forget your ear. Behind your ears. Your chin. And patting is better, I think, because you're actually then patting it in, just very gently, patting it into your skin to give you a flawless complexion. Because if you're buffing, you're actually just going to be wiping it off again. So around my nose. When I've hardly got any product left, I do the top of my lip because I don't want it too heavy up there. And then my forehead. Take what's left on my hand and do my forehead. And as you can see, that was half a pump, and that has done my entire face. So depending on how you like your foundation, I don't mind. I like a good coverage, but I don't like it thick. I don't like it caked in. And then on the ears, down the neck. You can actually buff it down the neck because you do want it to sort of filter down. And if you do find that you need a little bit more, which I think I do on this side, again you just take, less is more, seriously, less is more with this. I've got an itch now, just take a spoolie, give it an itch, and just lightly apply. Again, always starting from the inside of the cheek, going out towards the hairline. And then as you're coming up to the hairline, just place your hand so that you don't actually get it in your hair. Yeah. And I have avoided the eye area, as I say, because I don't want it to be too cakey and too heavy under my eyes. Keep patting until it feels almost dry, because you want it to settle into the skin. So once we've got that all nicely worked in, then we will go with our concealer. As I said before, I like the Revolution Conceal and Define. And what we're going to do with this is, it's a little doe foot, is actually take it down low, okay? You don't take it all the way up to the eye. I'm running out. Tut tut. And take it just down here, down the side of my nose. And I'm going to take the concealer brush again. I'm just going to use the same one that I used for the Hollywood filter. And I'm going to pat it in. And then once it starts to lighten, not so much product on my brush, I'm going to go up towards my eyes and I'll be looking up. Always patting. Once we've done that, go back in with my foundation brush just to help seamlessly blend. If you get any hairs or anything on your chin or an itch, just use a clean spoolie and wipe it away. And my lighting does make me look very pale here, but I can assure you it's not. There we go. And I can tell when it's all worked in because I can touch my face and it's almost dry. Almost no transfer. Which means I will need very little powder. So what I like to do after that is take my Charlotte Tilbury Magic Away liquid concealer. This is shade 2 Fair, and just take it into the hollows, just to take those darker circles away, giving the illusion I've slept for 20 hours instead of 2. Take it down the side of the nose. And again, gonna itch again. Blend that out. I've gone right up to the lash line, and I'll just apply some more eyeshadow afterwards just to help blend that together. And again, take your foundation brush and just gently pat it. There's no extra product on here, this is just what's on my brush already. Hi guys, apologies, my phone just seemed to die. So here we are again. It's time now for our contour. I like to use a cream contour. This one is called the Shady Stick and it's by CMB Cosmetics. They're an Irish brand. Very good brand, and it's basically one shade. So what I like to do is use my brush, got hair on it now, as opposed to straight onto my face. So I'm going to be using a Morphe E20. It's a sort of fairly dense brush. I also actually have a contour brush, but I prefer to use this when it comes to creams. So I'm just going to get some on the tip of my brush, and then I'm going to get the mirror and just follow my cheekbones. As you can see, they're here. So I'm going to come down just about halfway, as more mature ladies don't need to my mirror's gone off as well now. There we go. Don't need to come down any further. And the same on the other side, just about halfway. And then I'm going to blend that in. Take it all the way up to the ear. I'm going to pat, just to the side. Pat, 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 pat. I'm going to curve it up towards my nose. I'm not coming down here because that will make it look like my face is drooping. So I'm just going to go. Take it very lightly. We want the illusion that I've actually got a cheekbone. And the same with this side. You don't want to rub because you'll just be rubbing the product off. So again, you just want to pat, bringing it up. And the jawline. You can actually just feather it across here because that's ideally what you want to be doing anyway. Okay, and then I'm going to take my foundation brush again and just go over that very lightly, just to help blend all that in. Now, I don't tend to do my forehead because I've got quite a short forehead, I think, but if you need to, you can. Got an itch. Okay, and I'm just going to go down the side of my nose. And again, just pat over that with my foundation brush. Just takes away any harsh lines. See? So now we want to do is powder. I'm going to use the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Powder under eye and face. And this is in shade 2 Fair to Medium. So I'm going to be using a small fluffy brush for this one. It's not small. I'm going to be using this. And this is a PC 17 from Peaches and Cream. And what we do is we don't dip, we roll. We roll our powder, roll our brush into our powder, then we tap it off into the powder again. Now I'm going to do my under eyes. So what we need to do for that is just take our concealer brushes and look up, chin down, eyes up, and just pat away any creases. Because as we said before, if you apply powder to where there's creases, you're just going to set the creases in place. So just making sure making our base, and then take our brush and just rolling our powder under our eyes. And again on the other eye. Rolling our brush into our powder, tapping it off, getting away all those creases, and rolling our powder to our under eye. There we go. Now we'll do the rest of the face. So again, just making sure there's no creases or any build-up. Take our brush, roll it in our powder, so we're rolling, tap off the excess, and just pat it gently over the face. And this will just help to set all that lovely makeup in place. Rolling, tapping. And just up around the nose. I love the smell of my brushes. I washed them all the other day. And just being mindful of any creases that you may have. Excuse my dog. There. Okay, so now we've got that down, and we've just put the powder back on. I'm now going to go in and just deepen the under eye again, as we've lost a little bit of that. So I'm going to take back the short and go back into the dark brown powder, tap off the excess, and just very gently just go with the under eye, just to give me that definition back again. And again, as I say, you don't have to do this step. I like to. I'm just pressing that in, and I'm going to go back in with our light tan, dark, dirty tan even, and just buff over the top very gently, just to help it all come together. There we go. So now we come to our other shade of bronzer. We used a lighter shade on our eyes. We're going to go in with the darker shade now. I'm going to be using the Revolution Glow Splendor Ultra Matte Bronzer in light, but it's quite dark. And I'm going to be taking a Nema brush in called Blathen, a nice fluffy brush. I'm just going to tap into that, tap off the excess, and I'm just going to go under into the hollows of my cheeks. Just want to bring some depth and some warmth back into that. See? And I'm just going to go where the sun naturally hit my face. So let's put some warmth back in. Again, just making sure that there's no harsh lines. Let's just brought some warmth back in. I bring it up towards the nose. And then just using my foundation brush with no other product on it at all other than what's still left, I'm just going to go over the top. Okay. Now we're going to go in with some blush, and I was thinking quite a peachy blush. Now you can use a blush that's already got a highlight on it if you wish, but I'm going to use this because I want to put on some extra highlight. Now this blush is, it's called, it's from BH Cosmetics, and it's called Weekend Vibes Bellini, and it's a 6-colour blush palette, and they're all these lovely peachy shades, as you can see. Lovely. And I'm going to be using this one. So I'm just going to take another small fluffy brush. This one. This is a PCO3, again from Peaches and Cream. I'm just going to go into the, just on the side of the brush, tap off the excess, and just very lightly, because this is quite highly pigmented, just go over the top. I'd rather go in lightly and build than put too much on. I'm going to wipe off the brush because I've already been over a darker shade, and back in. Tap off the excess and just gently pat that on. I'm putting that above our bronzer and our contour. Okay, and again I'm just going to bring this down to the cheek. Wipe off the excess, back into the blush, tap off the excess, and we'll do the other side. Again, I'm just pressing it on very lightly, patting it. And again, just going to go over the top very gently with my foundation brush. Okay, so now that we've had our blush on, I'm just going to go down the middle of my face with a bit of pressed powder, and this one is the Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish in shade 2 medium. I'm just going to take the same brush as I used previously for putting on my powder. I'm just going to very lightly just go down the centre of my face. And if you want to, you can go just under where we had our contour, just to sharpen that up a bit. I do love that. So next we're going to go in with some highlighter, and I'm going to use the Bperfect Stacey Marie Get Wet highlighter, and this is in Skin Sheen. It's a cream highlighter, and I'm just going to use the same brush that I applied my powder. I'm just going to wipe that off. This is the same brush, I've just now cleaned it off, and I'm just going to take it, this is quite creamy, I'm just going to take it. Another little trick you can do if you want it to really pop is just spray the face. That's hyaluronic acid spray. It rehydrates the skin, helps flatten everything down. But now that my cheeks are wet, I can go in with my highlighter just across the top of my cheek. See how, with it being wet, really helps make it pop. Wipe off, back in. And I'm just again going to take it where the light would naturally hit, so just above my brows, and this one down the centre of my nose, and just the tip of the Cupid's bow. And what I am going to do is just take the small brush that we used earlier to do our pigment and just put a tiny bit on the side of the brush, tap off the excess, and just go here at the arch of my brow, just to give it a little bit of extra. Not too much. You literally just want to highlight that brow, the arch of the brow, I should say. That's better. That one didn't want to work. There we go. Now, okay, now time for some mascara and eyeliner, and I'm going to be using a nude eyeliner in my waterline, as I tend to find that that helps to open the eye. And this one is a Barry M kohl pencil in nude. So I'm just going to take that bottom waterline just to help brighten the eye. There we go. And I'm also going to take the same pigment, same highlighter, sorry, that we have on our cheeks, and just pop it in the corners of my eyes, the inner corners I should say. It's on top of my head there, that wasn't interesting, was it? Just press it in. And then we will add some mascara. Now I love this Benefit Cosmetics, their real magnet mascara. I find it's really flattering on my eyelashes. This is the brush. I love these brushes, they really help to separate. I'm just going to comb this through my top lashes gently, just to help those. And then very gently shimmy it through my bottom lashes. Now I've just got a bit on my skin there, and the trick for that is if just leave it alone. Don't try and wipe it off now because it will smudge. Just leave it, and when it's dry, take a clean spoolie and just wipe it away. And get into the base of the lashes and wiggling it all the way out. That way then I get a much better illusion. There we go. And last but not least, lipstick. Before I do that, what I am going to do is a little thing that I've learned for myself. Whether or not somebody else has done it beforehand, I have no idea. But I'm just going to take some of that very first bronzer that we used, and I'm going to take a very small brush. A little bullet brush will do. This is a Morphe 36, And basically I'm just going to get some of that, I'm going to put it just in between the nostrils where the Cupid's bow is, because I tend to find I lose it now that I've got all the makeup on. I find that there's nothing really there. So, and I found that if I put something in there to create a shadow, it helps to emphasise my Cupid's bow. So I'm just going to dip that in very gently, tap off again. You want as minimum as possible because you want to build it. So I'm just going to gently see the difference. Just a little bit under the bottom of my lip, just to again create a shadow to make it look like I've got a bigger bottom lip than I have. So you don't want to put too much there because otherwise you'll end up looking like you've actually got a moustache. So I'm going to now grab some lipstick. I think we'll go for a bit of a pinky peach. And basically, because we've gone quite dramatic on the eyes, this is supposed to be a soft glam, so we don't want anything too hot and heavy. So something nice and light. So this is Beauty Bay's lip liner in shade Ruffle. So I'm just going to take this to the bottom of my lips. Now I don't tend to overline, but if you want to, you go ahead. You do you. And then we'll do top lip, Cupid's bow. Just gone over the top there. Okay, that's our lip liner done. Okay, I'm just going to pop some lipstick on, and this is Revolution Beauty in shade Classic. So I'm just going to put this on very lightly. And I'm just going to take a tissue and blot it. And then I shall apply a bit of gloss over the top. And for that I'm going to use the Bperfect Double Glazed in shade Drip Drip. It's a lot lighter, it will just take this colour down a bit, but it will still leave some of the intensity. So all these products are my own, so they're not getting used on anybody else. So there we go. So just get that spoolie to get that bit of mascara. So just, now it's dried, just wipe it away. I have an itch. There we go. And there we go. This is the finished look. You can use some setting spray. I like this one. It's an it's an illuminating spray. Shake and Glow Luminous Setting Spray by L'Oreal. Oh, it smells lovely. So there we go, this is the end of the tutorial. I hope you really enjoyed working along with me today. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this, but I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, bye for now.